Hey, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory that's due to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who I learned this truth from who do well. Peace and salutations to the 144,000, the rest of the 1/3, the large multitude. Unto you I say shalom. Coming to you back with another lesson through the Spirit, and I'm entitled this one, The Other Nations Will Go Into Slavery in the Kingdom of Heaven. Because you have these Christians, these anti-Hamashiachs, and these other Israelite camps that are claiming that there's not going to be any slavery, that all the heathens, they're going to be equal to Israel. But ultimately, that's all bullshit, because we see what all these different heathen nations have done unto the nation of Israel, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. Mainly, the so-called white people, which are the descendants of Esau, the Edomites. All these heathens, they have had a peace. Like it says right here in 1 Maccabees chapter 2 and verse 10, what nation had not had a part in her kingdom and God had never spoiled? So all these nations have gotten, had Jake in slavery. So all these nations, they're not going to get scot away free, but especially the Edomites. They have a way more harsh, severe punishment coming. They have extinction coming. But first, they're going to have to get their ass kicked for 1,000 hardcore years, and then they're going to be done away with. This is Revelation chapter 13 and verse 10. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here's the patience and the faith of the saints. And that's what's going to happen to all these different heathen nations. That's what's going to happen to Esau, Edom. It's slavery. This devil is not going to get away scot-free, because that's the only thing that can repay this damn devil and the rest of these heathens is slavery. Even though the rest of the heathens are going to be allowed to go back to their lands, but not the Edomites. After that 1,000 long hardcore year slavery of getting their ass kicking and helping build up the kingdom of heaven here on the planet Earth, they're going to be completely done away with. Never to set foot on the earth ever again. And that sounds like a very severe, harsh punishment, but ultimately that's the end of these Edomites, because of all the abominations that they've done, all the atrocities that they've done to the Israelites, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. This is Isaiah chapter 14 and verse 1. For the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai will have mercy on Jacob, and will yet choose Israel, and set them in their own land, and the stranger shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob. And that's right. Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai is going to set the nation of Israel up on the planet Earth to rule for eternity, starting when the elect get beamed up into the fathership, of Yahushai, and they get changed into the new bodies. That's when the kingdom of heaven begins. When the elect get crowned, and then they come down and put these damn wicked elite, pull them out their bunkers and put them in chains, and then eventually go back to the land and actually be set up to rule for eternity. But that hasn't happened yet, because you have the small hats over there in the Holy Land that are proclaiming to be the true people. But we know that that's all bullshit. We see everything that's going around the earth, and according to prophecy, once the nation of Israel is back in the Holy Land, then there's not going to be any war. But is that the case? Hell no. And that's how you know that those small hats that are proclaiming to be the true people of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, they're imposters. And the strangers ultimately going into, the Israelites that have been scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, they're going to be brought in as well. It's not no damn heathens that are going to get a piece of the inheritance of Israel. Hell no, it's ultimately only going into Israelites. Verse 2, and the people shall take them and bring them to their place, and the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai for servants and handmaids, and they shall take them captives, who captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors. And who are our oppressors? Who are the ones that are current currently in captivity, like it says in Baruch chapter 3 and verse 8. The nation of Israel, mainly here in America, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. But wherever Jake has been scattered, Jake is at the bottom of the barrel because of our sin, because we sinned against Yahweh Bashmi Shai. But, it's not forever, because the elect were prophesied to wake up in the latter end, like it says in Ezekiel chapter 37, Revelation 11, that those dry bones will live again and have that breath put back in them. And that's what's happening. Now we're telling this devil, you're going into captivity for all the atrocities that you've done to the nation of Israel, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. Verse 3, and it shall come to pass in the day that the Lord Yahweh Bashmi Shai shall give thee rest from thy sorrow and from thy fear and from the hard bondage wherein thou was made to serve. And we're in that last bondage, we're in that last captivity here in America. Spiritual Egypt, double straits. And then very soon, Yahweh Bashmi Shai is going to bring this devil down and bring the nation of Israel up to be set rulers upon the planet Earth for eternity. This is Jeremiah chapter 30, verse 16. And the sons of strangers shall build up thy walls, and their kings shall minister unto thee. For in my wrath I smote thee, but in my favor have I had mercy on thee. Verse 11, therefore thy gates shall be open continually. They shall not be shut day nor night, that man may bring unto thee the forces of the Gentiles, and their kings may be brought. And that's not happening right now. Jake has to close his door, lock his door, put bars on the windows. We're not going to have to do that in the kingdom of heaven. We're not going to have to be scared and live in fear and anxiety because these heathens, because a cop pulls you over and he's going to blow you away. No, ultimately in the kingdom of heaven, the nation of Israel is going to have eternal rest. Because right now, this isn't our rest. Like it says in Micah chapter 2, arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest. Because this is our captivity. We're in slavery, where we're, held bondage under these so-called white people, these Edomites, and the rest of these heathen nations. But ultimately, that the roles are about to be reversed. They're about to be put in slavery and bondage and captivity. And the nation of Israel is going to be put back on top, like during the time of King Solomon. Verse 12, for the nation and the kingdom that would not serve thee shall perish. Yeah, those nations shall be utterly wasted. And that's what's going to happen. If these heathen nations refuse to comply, with the nation of Israel, then they're not going to get no rain. They're going to get put to death. They're going to be set an example of what happens to those who refuse to comply with Yahweh Bashmi Shai. But ultimately, we know that that's not going to be the case. This is Jeremiah chapter 30 and verse 16. Therefore, all they that devour thee shall be devoured, and all thy adversaries, every one of them, shall go into captivity. And they that spoil thee shall be spoiled, and all that prey upon thee will I give for a prey. And that's what's going to happen. All of our adversaries, starting with the nation of Esau, Edom, the so-called white people, and the rest of these heathen nations, they had us in captivities, through our history. And now Yahweh Bashmi Shai is about to repay them back and put them in captivity. This is Psalms chapter 149 and verse 6. Let the high praises of the Most High be in their mouth, and a two-edged sword in their hand. Verse 7, to execute vengeance upon the heathen and punishments upon the people. Verse 8, to bind their kings with chains and their nobles with feathers of iron. Verse 9, to execute upon them the judgment written. This honor have all his saints. Praise ye the Lord Yahweh Bashmi Shai. And the scriptures make it clear what's going to happen to these heathens. Because you got these Christians, these anti-Hamashiachs, these other Israelites that are claiming that, the heathens are going to be okay in the kingdom. Yeah, they're going to be okay. After the 1,000 year hardcore slavery, after helping to build the kingdom up, and they're going to be allowed to go to their own lands. But they're going to get their ass kicked, for all the atrocities and abominations that they've done to Jake. They have a recompense coming unto them, and it's not going to be a good one. This is Psalms chapter 2 and verse 1. Why do the heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing? Verse 2, the kings of the earth set themselves and the rulers take counsel together against the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai and against his anointed, saying, verse 3, let us break their bands asunder and cast away their cords from us. Verse 4, he that sitteth in the heavens shall laugh, the Lord shall have them in derision. And that's what's happening. You got these, especially these wicked elite, the Rothschilds and Rockefellers, trying to do everything in their power to offset prophecy, to get the birthright, to escape slavery, because they know what's coming to them. They know what their end is, and they're scared. That's why they're trying to do everything in their power to get that birthright back, on the left-hand side, to escape slavery, because they understand the scriptures, that they watch the apostles and elders to hear what we got to say, starting where apostles, bishops, elders on down, and they know that it's true. That's why they're trying so hard to get out of here and form portals. But ultimately, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai is throwing that monkey wrench in their plans. Verse 5, then shall he speak unto them in his wrath and vex them in his sore displeasure. Verse 6, yet have I set my king upon my holy hill of Zion. Verse 7, I will declare the decree, and the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai said unto me, thou art my son, this day have I begotten thee. And who's the only begotten son of Yahweh? Is Yahushai. He's gonna be the main one who puts these damn heathens in slavery, but also Yahushai is gonna share his inheritance with his elect. Every elect in his portion. Verse 8, ask of me, and I shall give thee the heathen for thine inheritance, and the uttermost parts of the earth for thy possession. Verse 9, thou shalt break them with a rod of iron, thou shalt dash them in pieces like a potter's vessel. And that's what these damn heathens have coming to them. Is slavery, is captivity, hardcore bondage for 1,000 long hardcore years, and then eventually, they'll be allowed, to go back into their lands, but they're gonna have to serve that 1,000 long hardcore year slavery. For all the abominations, all the atrocities, all the bloodshedding that they've done to the Israelites, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. So Yahweh Bashem Yahushai hasn't forgotten him. He's going to repay him, and soon. But that's pretty much the point. Praise this is edifying to the elect. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh. Hashem Yahushai, Hashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of the great millstone who I learned this truth from, who do it well. Peace and salutations to the 144,000 and the rest of the 1/3, the large multitude. Unto you I say shalom.